Welcome to Agribiotech, a program focused on the significance of biotechnology to agricultural development in Nigeria. I am Lara Afolayan. Significant milestones in the promotion of agricultural biotechnology were achieved in the year 2018. One of them was the approval for the commercial release of 2 genetically modified varieties of cotton. Also in 2018, confined field trials for the BT cowpea variety, which began 9 years ago, reached the final stage, and the Biosafety Management Agency is now carrying out risk assessment of the research findings. We shall be taking a look at those developments on the program today. The Western Central African Council for Agricultural Research and Development, CORAF, is providing education sponsorships, technology training and mentorship for youths. This is in areas of agriculture, research and entrepreneurship. CORAF's programs for youths is against the backdrop of the fast aging population of researchers in agriculture. Let's now take a look at this story and other trending agricultural biotechnology stories in What's New. Kenya's Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization, KARO, has released 8 maize varieties resistant to maize lethal necrosis disease. The agency's regional research officer, John Karanja, says the 8 varieties have been developed for different climatic conditions. He adds that besides their resistance to this disease, they are also resilient and can withstand inadequate rainfall regimes as well as mature within 3 months. Karanja also says the Agriculture and Livestock Agency is working on developing varieties that are immune to the fall armyworm pest. The organization, in collaboration with partner researchers, have been working together to find a solution to the pest, which has destroyed nearly 500,000 acres of maize in the last 3 years. The Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization is concerned that maize diseases are a threat to one of the country's big 4 national development agendas, which is food security. Tanzania's Agriculture Transformation Grant plans to develop a region-wide strategic plan for improving sunflower farming and addressing challenges faced by farmers. The initiative, under the advocacy of Dalberg Global Development Advisors, aims to strengthen the region's sunflower value chain through better coordination, connection, and private sector inclusion. The grant focuses on building the capacity of regional secretariats and local government authorities to improve the sunflower farming value chain in the country's Dodoma region. The 3-year program intends to attract more investors in sunflower agriculture to the region while imparting knowledge on good agronomic practices to farmers. Scientists in the United States have engineered tobacco plants that can grow 40% larger than normal in field trials. The researchers say they have found a way of overcoming natural restrictions in the process of photosynthesis that limits crop productivity. They believe the method could be used to significantly boost yields from important crops, including rice and wheat. The technology is being developed for royalty-free distribution to smallholder farmers in sub-Saharan Africa and in Southeast Asia. Researchers are growing increasingly concerned about the ability of the world to feed a growing population in a time of serious climate change. Welcome back. The program is still Agribiotech, and as I said at the beginning of the program, significant strides were achieved in the promotion of agricultural biotechnology in Nigeria in the year 2018. On InFocus today, the agency responsible for the promotion of biotechnology in Nigeria, which is the National Biotechnology Development Agency, will be speaking on these achievements and how it intends to build on them this year. Confined field trials on the BT cowpea, BT cotton, and the newest rice began several years ago in Nigeria. Campaigns and sensitization programs by promoters of biotechnology in the country on these varieties have been on for several years, and they were in top gear in the year 2018. Farmers, seed dealers, policymakers and different categories of people across the country were educated on the science behind these technologies and their economic benefits, not just to farmers, but the economy as a whole. The sensitization and promotion efforts in biotechnology in Nigeria recorded a breakthrough in August with the approval of 2 BT cotton varieties. They are the MRC 7377 BG2 and the MRC 7361 BG2. The varieties are expected to help cotton farmers in Nigeria combat the pink bollworm while also increasing their yields and impacting output positively. The National Biotechnology Development Agency is optimistic this development will impact the Nigerian textile industry positively.
This year, Nigeria was able to commercialize BT cotton. I'm sure there's hardly anybody here who will all have heard about our BT cotton. 2 new varieties. Each of them will give us between 4.1 and 4.4 tons per hectare, as compared to the traditional variety that only gives between 250 to 750 kilograms per hectare. Where the agronomic practice is very good, you get up to 900 kilograms per hectare. But this new variety will give us 4.2 to 4.4 tons per hectare. This is a very significant improvement.
Confined field trials for the BT cowpea have reached their final stage. Risk assessment tests are now being conducted by the Biosafety Agency. The promoters of biotechnology in Nigeria are hopeful successes recorded in 2018 will be built upon this year.
So we are happy to have this new variety, BT cowpea, because cowpea has a peculiar problem. There is one insect, Maruca, that devastates this crop seriously. The devastation is so enormous that a farmer could have a whole hectare and at the end of the day come harvest little or nothing from the whole farm. That's how devastating this insect is. It's a huge pest in this area. But the BT cowpea that has been developed now in collaboration with researchers at ABU Zaria is able to resist this pest. As a result, yield increases, application of pesticides also reduces. And you know, when you, instead of applying pesticides now between 8 to 9 or 10 times in a farming season to protect your cowpea, your beans, you now just, with this new variety we have sent to the Biosafety Agency to now look at. With that new variety, you might not need to spray more than once or twice in one whole farming season.
The soon-to-be-deployed BT cotton seeds will be made available for 1,000 farmers at its initial circulation stage, and the Biotechnology Agency adds that this circulation is expected to grow and reach more farmers across the country. It believes that the development puts Nigeria at par with countries like South Africa, where these varieties are being cultivated on a large-scale basis, with cotton farmers smiling to the bank. Dr. Emeka Okengu is a development expert and a manager of an agricultural resource center in Abuja. He is passionate about improved agricultural production in the country. Dr. Okengu is positive the use of improved technologies like biotechnology could help the country address challenges of food security. He will be joining me shortly here on set to speak on this issue, but first we take this break and the program will continue. Do stay.
Did you know that genetically modified organisms, GMOs, are safe and do not pose any risk, hazard, or danger to human, animal, and the environment? Neither do they cause cancer, infertility, sterility, tumor, or any adversity. There is safe use of GMO drugs like insulin, vaccine, rapid diagnostic test kits for malaria, HIV, hepatitis, and so on. The safety of GMOs is certified by the World Health Organization, WHO, Food and Agricultural Organization, FAO, European Food Safety Authority, EFSA, the National Academies of Science globally, the Royal Society, UK, and over 110 prize Nobel laureates. GMOs are safe, effective, and certified by MBMA in Nigeria.
And joining me on the program is Dr. Emeka Okengu. He is a development expert and also manages an agricultural resource center. It's good to have you join me on the program.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
My first question will be, what exactly do you understand by genetically modified organisms, particularly in relation to agriculture?
In one word, applying science to improving agricultural yield, or applying science to the development of agricultural yield. Okay? Now, when you talk about genetics and you talk about organisms, you're talking about the two compound words. Okay? Now, using science to be able to assist the genetics of organisms. That's what GMO is all about.
And how
at one end, okay, depending on where you're applying it. Okay, you also now have what you might be able to call the criminal GMO, which is where you are now also using technology to produce foods. So maybe along the line of a conversation, we'll be able to draw a clear distinction between the both of them.
And how relevant do you think this technology is to Nigeria's food needs?
Extremely, extremely relevant, very critical, and very central. Because the first thing is that GMOs allow you to have more yields, produce more food, okay, and eliminate to a very large extent the things that might be able to affect your crops and its yields.
And what relevance do you think this has for our farming system in Nigeria?
Again, because we do rain-fed agriculture, it's not even relevant. I think the word we should be looking at here is critical. How critical is this? Very, very. Remember that we have a population that is burgeoning. You know, we have a population, we are not food secure. We've never been. We are doing very pedestrian subsistence farming. Okay, we have not been able to get our farm into this industrial, scale. We don't have a lot of money for patient capital in developing our farming systems. So, getting GMOs rightly, okay, applied in the right way, used for the right purposes, is very, very key to what it is.
And what exactly do you mean by it being applied in the right way?
Beautiful. Like I said to you, when you talk about yield and then you are genetically modifying your seeds, okay, to be able to give you yields based on your soil calculations or your soil performances or your soil nutrients and all that, it's the way to go. However, there's also been this application, and then it applies to every other thing. You know, when people talk about the ill effects of genetically modified seeds or organisms, remember also that when you apply too much of fertilizers, okay, you're also getting the same effect as much as you are getting by what it is you're doing at the GMO level. So the right applications would be to be able to follow the science, okay, of one, making certain that soil feeds seeds and that the nutrients are adequate, okay, for what it is you want to achieve. There is no alternative to GMO, especially for a growing economy. That is the truth about it. But I think people mistake it for all these plastics, foods and rice and everything that people are, and I think that's where the confusion comes, really.
Okay. Confined field trials,
yes,
on some certain crops,
yes,
particularly some certain crops that we are hopeful would be released for commercial production in Nigeria have been on.
Yes.
Last year, we saw that of cotton.
Yes.
The confined field trials, you know, the process was concluded,
yes,
and those particular crops, the BT cotton, the genetically modified cotton variety, have been approved for commercial release, which means any moment from now, we'll be seeing a deployment of those seeds, in circulation.
Yes.
How do you think Nigeria can make the most of this BT cotton?
You've just
particularly as it affects our textile industry.
You've just said it. Our textile industry is dead, madam. Why did he die? He died because there were no cotton. So what you've just said is that you now have what can be able to wake up that dead industry. And you're just not talking about cotton. You're also talking about lint. Okay, you're also talking about yarn. So you can imagine the value process of what it is, one research. You've just answered that the critical part of GMO in Nigeria is research. And from what it is you've said, you've just given us some good news.
How can we make the most of the BT cotton variety?
Keep putting in more research into more new areas, into more soils that can be modified to be able to take the BT cotton. End of story.
We definitely need to do a lot of research to make the most of genetic modification for agriculture in Nigeria.
Yes.
At this point, we'll take a quick break and the program will continue. And my guest has been Dr. Emeka Okengu, a development expert and a manager of an agricultural resource center here in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We'll take a quick break and the program continues shortly. Do stay with us. Welcome back, and Dr. Okengu is still here with me in the studio. Thanks for staying with us on Agribiotech.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you for that.
And just before we went on that break, we were talking about the BT cotton. And apart from the BT cotton, the BT cowpea has reached its final stage, and if it's approved for commercialization, the seeds will also be deployed. And rice is still undergoing confined field trials, talking about the newest rice. What impact do you think these improved varieties of seeds can have for the production of those crops in Nigeria? I mean, the cowpea and the rice.
Like I said, I have this lecturer when I was younger who says, the answer is in the question. The answer is in your question. It's obvious. I think what we should do is to be able to, because I know that this research, I stand to be corrected, is primarily being carried out by the ABU universities area. Okay.
Yeah, yes.
I think that what it is that we should be doing now is to be able to get other institutions, like I said to you, to
we have the Crops Research Institute doing that for rice.
We're talking about the
Cereals Research Institute.
Whatever.
Okay.
We need to spread it. Okay. We need to get everybody to be talking this, so that at the level of research assistants, at the level of PhD, documentations, at the level of even undergraduate studies, okay, it becomes a very integral part, so that you see people writing their 10 papers on the BT cotton soils. You see, it begins to create, instead of now having people who probably for whatever pecuniary reasons are fighting it, okay, you can begin to now have stories that clearly show to you that these things are not as harmful as, just like the story of the DDT and mosquito elimination. Okay, so there is no way. We are in the world of technology, driven by, what's technology? Chemicals, agents, reagents, okay, insecticides and pesticides. All these are poisons when you mishandle them, okay, when you misapply them. But they are very, very beneficial, okay, when you apply them well. Just like the antibiotics. How many of us knew that what antibiotics do is to just load more bacteria into your system to fight the bacteria that you have? How many people knew that? But that's what antibiotics are. They're actually bacteria loaded onto your bacteria to now be able to now conquer what you might call your friendly bacteria against, the ones that are attacking your system. I think that's the mode people must understand and see the GMO, structure for.
Okay, as I said earlier, 3 crops in Nigeria have been, used for the confined field trials. Yes. What I mean really is that 3 crops are in focus, talking about the cotton to fight the pink bollworm, the BT cotton, the BT cowpea to fight the maruca, and the newest rice, that's for nitrogen use, water efficient and salt tolerant. What other crops do you think this particular technology could be introduced into Nigeria?
Crop is crop. You divide crops into 4 broad. You have your grains, you have your veggies, you have your tubers. All can be applied to GMO. There is nothing. It is a science like I said to you, of food production, of yields, of increasing your yield. So it is our capacity now to be able to probably develop the reagents and the agents, you need to be able to start doing your trials, which is where we need to build human capacity, which is where we need to send people to be able to now understudy. You can have an expert probably in cowpea, and then because he's not so good in the other crops, he's now focused more on his what you call areas of comfort. But the moment we begin to see every crop, even every tree, okay, South Africa has only about 13% of its land that's arable, but it is the second greenest city in the world. Common sense will tell you that they are planting their trees, with the help of science. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if we are able to apply this even to our commercial trees, look at the red rose, for instance, okay? It's become very big business, okay? America is increasing his wooding and logging and the woods by the application of technology. So if we put more into developing the appropriate human capital requirements, and then we are not going to be focusing on one thing, even the grasses that grow, because we need to also now harmonize our habitations. We need the birds, they have a role. We must be able to plant even the trees that give us the shade because of what we call carbon sequestration. So all these things is not to be able to talk about, rice, beans, yam, potato. You can go on, the list is endless. Anything we consume, anything that helps our habitation, anything that helps us to be able to have a more comfortable life should come under investigation and research. Okay,
you just mentioned South Africa, and that is one country where a lot of genetic modification is being done in agriculture, talking about their maize, their cotton, and even their soybeans. But even in those countries where this technology has been for several years, we have those who are against it. They keep criticizing. Even in the US, people keep criticizing this technology, and we have such people here. I wouldn't know how you would react to those who argue against this technology.
Let me tell you how I react. I'm sorry to tell this story. I was in England one time, and then some people, I now noticed that the police were carrying blankets and following a group of people. And these were men and women who were nude. And they said they wanted to be walking around nude. And they allowed them to walk around nude until they got near schools where you had children. So the police now had to bring blankets, okay, to let them pass by. There are people who say to you, it's all about being organic. And then the first thing you notice is this guy is wearing polyester. Okay? He says to you, all I want to build it is organic. And he's buying yam from a Gwari man who is using pesticides and insecticides to grow those yams. Okay? What am I trying to say? You always have people who would be non-conformist. That's one part of it. They believe in something and they believe, okay, fine. Some people even make money out of it. Some of these NGOs, believe that by the time they're supporting organic, and then they have one group that says, it's all about organic, and they're getting support. There are some other ones who are also genuinely concerned, okay, about the after effects of genetic or genetically modified organisms. But I say to them, everything you do is poison. The drugs you take are poisons. It depends on how you modify them. So this is now where oversight, okay, comes in. This is where monitoring comes in. But for me, I'll say to anybody, do not critique what you haven't thoroughly investigated. Okay? Do not be like one of our labor leaders who came on the stage and said, we must be wearing everything Nigerian, everything. And then the president who was beside him removed his cap and then showed to the other and said, but the cap you're wearing is made in China. So it's important that in critiquing, we must be able to critique well. We must be able to critique from the point of knowledge. We must be able to critique to be able to make whatever it is better. Even if you found fault, I don't think because your son failed an exam, okay, would qualify for that son to be thrown into an incinerator. I think what we should do is to be able to now find out how can we be able to now improve on whatever lapses, which is what people are trying to do, which is what every other country is trying to do. You talked about South Africa. You have ShopRites all over. I mean, very soon they're going to be entering into villages. All the veggies, and you go there and say, this is well packaged. This is clean. Everybody's going there to buy. Have you found out how they are grown? Are they really that organic? And some of these guys who are critics are actually dining on this stuff, and they have it in front of them, and they say, this is not acceptable to us. And yet, you have over 80% of your population living below the poverty line, below bread lines. You must feed. We are not food insecure. How can we become food insecure when we have challenges of land management, when we have a lot of our farmers not educated or ill-educated, when we have very small farm holdings, when we are not able to now, develop commercial farming, when we don't have the infrastructure? GMO is the way to go. Trust me.
All right. And very quickly before you go, what will be your final word on this issue? Very quickly.
Do not castigate what you don't truly know. I think that GMO will help us as a country to be able to fight in. Look at Borno, for instance, now. GMO would have helped us with what they call desert agriculture. And you people will grow food and eat those foods. So I think it is something government must take it a little bit larger, bigger, make it a little bit more inclusive than it is right now. I think it's a right way to go, and it will help the country.
Very strong views there, and thank you very much, Dr. Emeka, for joining me on the program. And that was Dr. Emeka Okengu, a development expert and a manager of an agricultural research center here in Abuja. We'll take a quick break, and the program continues shortly. Do stay. And that brings us to the end of today's program. Send your emails to agribiotech1@yahoo.com. Send us tweets at agribiotech13 or post comments on the Facebook page Agribiotech on TVC. I am Lara Afolayan. Goodbye.